Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Alconin. Welcome to Pre-Market Info.
We got a big merger here today. Night finally agreeing to be bought by GetGo. It's going to work out to around $3.75 a share. Earnings from Oracle, FedEx, and General Mills. The Treasury exiting their GM position. GM is getting a nice pop on this news. We also want to ask you guys, we're thinking about changing up our daily numbers on our S&P components. Right now we do the top 10 components. We've had some suggestions to start covering Google, Facebook, a few other stocks. We'd like to hear from you guys, from our listeners. If you'd like to see some different stocks in the top S&P components, send your suggestions to info@premarketinfo.com or simply post them in the comments section below this video. Joel, let's start with GM here because, wow, this is getting a beautiful pop here in the pre-market.
Yeah, Government Motors going to be exiting. It might just be GM again.
Not going to be Government Motors anymore.
Nope. My hat's off to Warren Buffett, who was buying the stock around the $20, $21, $22 level. I believe I disagreed with him at the time, so he's showing me. This stock is making a nice move in the pre-market, currently trading around the 27.60 level, making a 27.81 high. This stock has not traded at this level in quite a long time. In fact, back in February of this year, 27.68 was the high, so I'd be using that as my bogey along with the pre-market high, wherever that ends up.
Yeah, and 27.50 is obviously going to be a key number too. This is the number where the GM is going to buy 200 million shares back from the Treasury at 27.5, and then they're going to dispose of the other 100 million somewhere within the next 12 to 15 months. So within the next 12 to 15 months, the Treasury will be right out of GM. And obviously the shareholders are liking that. They're liking that this company is maybe going to be running itself now. So, and that's why the stock's getting a lift. So I'd use that 27.5. That's going to be a critical number here, obviously, for the stock. I don't know if it'll create a floor there or not. It's only been announced just about 20 minutes ago here. So obviously this news is still being adjusted. The prices obviously just shot from 25.5 to 27.5. So we'll see where it opens at off the hop. 27.5 is probably a critical swing number. Is giving a lift to Ford too, Joel, in the pre-market here. Ford up at $11.88 after closing $11.67. So both Ford and GM getting some love here this morning. Good for the Motor City.
Yeah, Ford's making a pre-market high as we speak, right around the $11.88 level. I'd like to alert our listeners it's been up here 3 times. $11.68 was the high yesterday. Go back a few more days, you have $11.70 high, and then you have one a little bit lower back in November at $11.59. So Ford is attempting a breakout. It's a tough stock to trade with the massive volume, probably a couple trillion shares sitting at $12.
Yeah.
But if you look longer term here in the Fords, you did have several highs here at 13 at the beginning of this year. January, February, March, and April, it topped out in that level. And there wasn't a lot in that 12 handle. It kind of bounced between 12 and 13. So if, in fact, we could get a couple closes above 12 here, we could be migrating towards that $13 level. Who knows how long it's going to take?
Yeah, $12 obviously the first critical number where you just cited. I'd imagine you're going to see some big institutional sellers there, so it wouldn't surprise me if this thing had a little struggle in the high 1190s as those high freak guys like to lean on that 12 area. We do have some earnings here this morning too, Joel. Oracle reported earnings. They were good. Stock is trading up $1 here in the pre-market, $33.83 after closing at $32.88. The numbers were 64 cents against estimates of 61.
Yeah, the initial spike in that news took it up to about the 33.80 level. Had sold off, and now we're just creeping our way back up there. 33.83 has been the pre-market high. This stock has not traded over this level since September of this year. You just have to look at probably the round number of 34 to be as minor resistance. Do you have a resistance in this thing?
Not a heck of a lot. Once you get past those couple of highs, which we are past the 33.30 area, then you got to go out to the weeklies. But you're right. I see one tick up there. While going back into October of last year, you've seen a couple of highs up there in the high 33s. So I'd call 34 definitely major resistance. If it started getting above 34.20, 34.30, really opens up.
Yeah, 36.50 was the high back in April of this year. So really, that's your only reference point. I'm sure your Oracle shareholders want to hear that.
We do have a merger here this morning. We'll come back to the earnings in a second, but we got a merger. Knight is agreeing to be bought by GetGo. It's trading 360 right now. It's working out to about 375 a share. There's going to be some options in there. Shareholders could buy into the new company or take a cash a deal at 375. So stock is trading up from the 333 close up to 360. But this is going to be a powerhouse in the high frequency trading world. GetGo already has, I think it's upwards of 15 or 20% of the daily volume. Knight kicks around 10 or 15% of the daily volume. So you're talking about a firm that is going to control almost 30% of the daily volume. They're basically going to touch 1 in 3 trades. Wow.
Oh, man, that's not good. But the only thing I've heard about this merger is that they're not going to be taking the programmers from Knight.
They don't want to take the program.
Yeah, that was part of the deal. It was 350, and they said, well, you get rid of your programming department, we'll make it 375. So if they didn't get rid of them already, they're already gone.
Obviously, the Knight debacle that started this whole thing. But you got to think, I almost think like the SEC here, it's kind of ironic. Here they were with Reg NMS, and they were trying to cut down on the monopoly by the exchanges. And now, okay, well, we have 16 exchanges. Liquidity is fragmented all over the place through 50 dark pools, internalizing broker-dealers. But now all of a sudden you have one participant that's going to control a third of the market volume. That sounds like a new monopoly forming over there. So I don't know the SEC if they're going to have something to say about this merger.
Yeah, is this subject to any SEC approval?
I don't think so. So it's very. I would doubt it. So I think it's probably going to go through. But it's just interesting that the SEC was so concerned about the monopoly of the exchanges, and you're going to have almost a monopoly of a broker dealer. So and a high frequency trading powerhouse. So obviously, I have concerns for market structure issue, but that's to talk about later on. We can do a special piece on it or something. But let's move on here. A couple other stocks that did have earnings too. FedEx reported earnings this morning. 93.30 is where it's trading at, so it's up $1 after closing at 92.36. $1.39 versus $1.41, so they missed by a couple cents, but the revenue was good. 11.1 billion against estimates of 10.84 billion. So, but the street must be liking that revenue number as this stock is trading higher.
Yeah, you did get an initial spike in the pre-market to 94.51. That coincides with the high that you had in this stock back in October 18th at 94 to 26. So keep a whole eye. I mean, if it gets back up, I bet you even if it stiffs 94 today, some sellers will come out. Looking at the pre-market activity, it's bounced off 92 a couple times. So keep an eye on that as support. And just also another alert, 93.21 was yesterday's high.
General Mills also reported earnings, 86 cents against estimates of 79. Not a lot of volume here, only 5,000 shares have traded, but the stock is trading higher here. 42.52 or 42.49 was the last tick after closing 41.77. There is some size in the book, interesting enough, in the 42 area. That's in the New York book, so that liquidity becomes active off the hop. It wouldn't surprise me if it actually started to pull back here a little bit in the pre-market.
Yeah, 42.65 is the high in the pre-market. That is a new all-time high, folks. So, but people eat food during recessions, market crashes. They eat more, when things are going good. The stock has just been real steady. Don't know if you're going to see some profit takers here in a new all-time high, but 42.65 is the number traders should be looking at.
We've got Apple. We didn't talk about it off the hop, so we're giving you a break from Apple, but we should mention it here. 533.90 is where it closed. It is trading down $3 here today at 530.69. This is interesting though. We've had this huge bounce, obviously off the 500 area. Yesterday we kind of just hung out for a while in the 520s and then started to lift and closed very strong near the highs. So a lot of times when you see a stock close near the highs, it does get follow through. That is not happening today.
Yeah.
Stock down $3. What's your take here?
Well, it's certainly not getting the rocket boost that it did the last time it came down under 510 when it went to 505.75. You really got a muted bounce here. I'll just keep an eye on the close, 533.90 up to the high 534.90. That'll be your resistance points today. After that, you have the 4-day high at 537.64. But perhaps you'll get a couple days of consolidation here between 520, 530, 535, and then that will be the key for your next move. But I don't keep track of all the analysts, but over the course of the last few days and last week, everyone was lowering their price targets, and
Stock starts going up.
And that made it really hard for me and you to get bearish on it. We didn't. We didn't feel, always testing the 500 wasn't everybody's thoughts, but it didn't. Got a nice bounce. Let's keep an eye on 535.
Like I said, as long as it holds over that 500 area, I think the bulls are still in charge here. But I wouldn't be surprised. I tend to agree with you. I think you might get a day or two of consolidation in here. I mean, obviously we're getting closer to Christmas. The volumes are going to start to come down here sooner or later. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing does just hang out between the 525, 537 area for a couple of days before it decides to digest this move and possibly move higher or give it up and possibly move lower. So it's kind of just hanging out here this morning. Google, here's one that we've talked about possibly doing new S&P numbers for, or doing daily numbers for it. 721 is where it's trading right now. It's down 7 cents, but this Google chart looks damn good too, man.
Yeah, it's had a steady rise here, cleared that 50% level at 705. So for folks of you that have bought it on anywhere under 700, just keep an eye on that level. I see they did correct the low there, or the high from a couple days ago. Keeping an eye, 729.10's been the high of the move. The recent move, the recovery, that's your resistance point. Really no major support in here down to yesterday's low at 715. So perhaps you'll get a day or two of consolidation in the Googs as well.
Drew a nice little trend line for you there too. Obviously, we got the low, and it's a pretty trend, and the bottom of that trend line is right around the 705 area. So as long as it continues to stay above that level, I think the bulls are still in charge. Facebook getting their price target raised at Cantor here this morning, up to $33 from $28, is giving the stock a bit of a lift. Lots of volume always on Facebook. 500,000 shares have traded. 27.93 is where it's at. It closed at 27.71. It kind of held that support area. I know it dipped below it a bit, but overall it's still holding on here. I mean, you can see this has been like channelingstocks.com too. 26.50 to 28. 4 or 5. For basically the last month here, you could have been trading between them, making $1 in that range from 26.5 to 28.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I mean, Facebook definitely had put those tops in 28.88 and it sniffed it at 28.75 just a few days ago. We were targeting the support a little bit higher, 26.60, 26.70. It ended up getting a 26.32 on Monday. I think you just have to let this battle brew out here between 26.50 or 26.32, the recent low, and the 28.88. But it seems like the shorts are just not getting that. A lot of times when Facebook's come off a major high, it's really gotten slaughtered, but that's not happening this time.
Nope, it's been holding up fairly well. You've got a real battle between the bulls and the bears. I can't tell you who's going to win here, but we've obviously drawn the channel for you there, and until it breaks out of that channel in either direction, I guess you just keep playing the channel. It seems to get down the mid-26s, it finds buyers, and it gets up over 28 and it finds sellers. And eventually that channel won't work, and it will break out one way or another. But until it does that, I mean, that's the trade that's been working for Facebook.
And just to go back, I know I had egg on my face from my first couple my first couple blogs on the Facebook, but interestingly, we're pretty much right back in the original range that they projected, between 25 and 30, and then Morgan Stanley got them to up their price again, and we all know what happened after that.
Yeah, obviously at 42, it was a typo too high. That was the bottom line. The price was too high. The poor little guy got screwed there again. But obviously had the washout all the way down when we got below 18, and then Barron's got on the bandwagon, publishing the ridiculous
Yeah, what's
price
up with
of
Barron's?
15 on their front page.
13 and
They got
what's
egg on
that?
their face big time too. A lot of people have egg on their face on
Watch
this
it.
Facebook.
I'm going to email my friend Henry Blodgett and see if he still thinks it's going to 13.
Maybe it is, but it's not going there anytime soon, I'll tell you that. Overall market thoughts here. We are trading up 4 points here this morning. This has been a sneaky little rally. If you looked a week ago, we were like everybody's kind of getting nervous about the market. Well, overall, this little trend that we've gone, and I'll draw it up there for you, has held. It's a steep one, but it is holding, and we look pretty good here. We're getting up, though, into some major resistance area. If you're going back to September, October, this whole 1450, 1455 area provided pretty good resistance. Is that where we're heading?
Yeah, got a couple numbers to alert our traders to. Obviously, we're trading above Tuesday's high, 1443.50. That will be minor support. Looking at the 1447 and a quarter level, that was the high on October 19th. And then you got a little pop, 6-point pop up to the 1433.50 level. Not much at the 1450 level at all. So just looking at those resistant points on the way up, imagine if you come back down to the close, 1441, that will act as support down to the Globex low. Just one other comment, Dennis, just to toot my own here. I wanted to get your opinion on it. Is Mr. Softy going to break out of here, this 27.63.62 level?
Starting to look pretty good again, but we are coming into the resistance area that we have found before. Obviously, we had a high back that we had cited on the 23rd of November at 27.77. We snuck up there a week ago, 27.62, and now we're back up there this morning, 27.60. I'd love to see it get above that 27.77 area because that's the bogey. You get above that area, you're into another gap area up to probably 28 and or the bottom of that gap was 28.21. So you have some air between 27.77 and 28.21. And I've still got a little bit of my long there too on my position there from your article.
Okay, and Mr. Bull, what's your thoughts about the market today?
My thoughts overall here is we are coming into that resistance area. I think you might have another 5 or 7 points up, but eventually here you are coming to resistance area. I think you're going to start to see some muted activity here. We are experiencing that whole Santa Claus rally the last few days. We knew it was eventually probably going to come, and it has. I think, though, once you start getting up another 7 or 8 points from here, it's going to start to get a little bit tougher to go higher.
Okay, that's our show for today, folks. Please send in your suggestions for new stocks to cover, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.